Last time on the Empire's Edge. I'm Master Treadstone! Hear me roar!
What's cracking me up is we barely have a society and we've already got a secret society.
Oh, and shillelagh. I could teach them shillelagh. I think we're going to teach them fairy fire.
Never mind.
As the first one.
And lurching up out of one of these streams and rushing forward is one of the giant lizards.
The arrow just did that one advantage.
Oh, neat. Let's see if I got a crit.
Stay on the table.
Oh! Rolls a natural 20. Four of them. There's a roar and a cheer that goes up. That was impressive. At the end of the day, when this thing's been butchered and there's this overwhelming joy through this settlement that they've never experienced this much community, you can tell this is going just so well. And it seems that people that were on the periphery that are coming in even faster. The pavilion's set up. You've been preparing this stuff, for the whole week, but definitely today. Everyone is arranging themselves on the grass around this lawn area for this town hall meeting to happen. So everyone is gathering for the town hall. It's been a couple of days since the lizard battle, and many of the community have shown up, and you're all walking in toward it. It's mid-morning as this is starting. There are tables set up. There's food, various game things that Jacob and other of the ranger initiates have been gathering up. A lot of different plant food life as well, roots and things that Zelen and her initiates have brought to it. So there's a lot of stuff set up. There's fresh water.
Freaking out, getting ready. He's like, oh God, the feast is happening today. It's happening today.
And you're heading into, there's no pavilion tent or anything. It's just a big open area. But you're heading toward that.
Now, I had a point. I thought about this last week, and I should have come up with it a little bit sooner, but I want to try this. I want to go find Cert, and I want to send him
right over your shoulder. He's always right behind you.
I turned to him. Cert, 2 days ago, we fought that lizard that came down there. It was absolutely a mother. Its nest can't be too far from here. I was talking to you when we were scouting through the forest, and we mentioned the nest and the eggs of the lizards.
It's a little too late to get some eggs for the meal. I think things are starting right now.
Stop eating all the eggs. I want to task you with tracking down the nest of that lizard and seeing if there are any eggs in the nest. Don't touch them. Don't do anything else with them, but find that nest and bring that information back to us because, like I said before, those lizards could be
beasts of burden,
and just extremely valuable just to help with the settlement here, what we're trying to build.
So you want me to find the eggs, but leave the eggs?
Yes, just find them. See if you can see where they are, because there could be more lizards in the area. Just the information is all we need, and then come back with that information once you have it.
All right, I'll do that. I'll take Yuz Larch Ringer with me just to make sure I have somebody with me.
Yeah, and you know what we're about to do with our town hall meeting. See if you can't, whoever else you want to be representing your family, have someone else to stand in your place.
Okay, so he goes off to find Yuz and also to probably tell somebody that you vote for us or whatever you guys decide he wants to do. Yeah. And he takes off. It's the first time you haven't had your shadow in like a week, whatever. It's a week and a half.
Oh God, it smells so good. God, this guy, right?
You've been holding in.
All right, so everyone gathers. There's a lot of noise and tumult. It takes a while for it to get going, and then it slowly gets quiet. As I would think, there's a couple of the half orcs that have been a little more noticeable, a little more visible. Some of the lead initiates that you have been training, with the exception of Cert, and the three of you in the middle of this area. How do you want to initiate this?
So I'm going to step forward and say, you've built homes. It's time now to create community. The next step is to form a government. With that government, you could then gain recognition by Worland and be a Worland-protected community. What we would suggest is 1 vote per homestead. Your first step is to elect a leader.
And the all the voices talking all at once, people talking to the person right next to them, almost eclipses you by the time you're done talking. There's so much talk. It goes around and around. It probably lasts for a good 10 minutes before they're finally done, just trying to get their head around what they're being asked to do, or is it a good idea? And one of the ideas that comes out of the crowd is, if we perceive ourselves, we set ourselves up to be too powerful, then somebody's going to send a force here to crush us. We know this will be the case.
Worland needs an outpost to the south. You have established that outpost and are making homes in it. You are more useful to the Baron here. He wouldn't drive you out.
And then after, again, another about 10 minutes of that talk going around, Boris, go ahead and roll. I wanted to say persuasion, but I don't think it's that. It's
Intimidation?
I think persuasion.
Yeah, am I scaring them or am I persuading them?
Because persuading them.
Diplomacy is the persuasion.
Diplomacy, yeah.
No, that's
diplomacy
3.5.
is persuasion here.
Okay, got
Persuasion is the now, yeah.
Yeah, persuasion. I had it right. Yay.
Yeah.
Okay, nat 17 for a 23.
Excellent.
Nice.
So after a handful of minutes, it seems like what's being kind of echoed back out of the group as you guys are all in the middle is that, I agree with Boris on this one, or it makes sense what he's saying, that it sounds like as that's being communicated through all of them, I guess they're each giving each other advantage, that they're doing better and better around this group, to where when it quiets down again, somebody chimes up and says, well, how do we start? What do we do? If we're voting one person per homestead or per family, what do we do to have a leader, and how do you make a government?
What are some names? Who are some people that you could see leading this community?
Trustworthy,
Who do you want to be in
skilled.
charge?
And yeah, the word goes up almost immediately. You hear, a number of Zellens, a number of Jacobs, but a lot of Boris.
Oh,
So that they want, and then they start, once it catches on, it's building up steam. They're like, Boris.
No.
That they're ready to make you king of this little valley, this unincorporated valley.
Yeah, no, I'm a paladin of devotion, not a paladin of conquest. No can do. No, choose one from among you. My mission is to the Baron and will take me elsewhere. You must pick one of your number, true to this place, to lead you.
And it starts circling around again. Go ahead and roll that persuasion again, just see how we do.
Okay, one better with a nat 18 for a 24.
Wow, nice. So it does catch on that it must make sense to them right away that it should be one of them. And a few different names are being called out, but then a particular name is finally called out. And that's, they're saying Arch, it sounds like over again, or a Deerskinner, Arch, Deerskinner. And it's a person heretofore you haven't even met yet. And a person steps forward and says, I could be leader. I would be leader, but there could be others that might want to do this too. But it seems almost overwhelming like this, that they've already almost agreed without being official like.
Did we set up, or are we standing on any sort of like a raised platform, like a soapbox or a stage or anything to give us
Soapboxes haven't been invented.
So we invented soapboxes in the last couple weeks.
Along with bulldozers and cement mixers.
Cement mixers, yeah. This is one really sturdy pavilion that we've made here. So bring
I
him
invent
up.
AR-15s and conquer the planet.
There you go. I would think there's probably some kind of a little platform. Yeah.
Bring him up on our raised platform while they're still cheering and chanting his name, just kind of like this, like not like he's the champion kind of thing, but just presenting him to the people and just getting that sort of as the cheers start to get even higher, kind of bolstering everybody in the area.
I love it. Yeah. So, and again, with him being so visible in the middle, because there's probably even people here that don't even know who Arch Deerskinner is. You guys didn't know just until 30 seconds ago.
To be fair, though, we didn't know anybody a week ago.
That's very true. And that it seems to there's a more unification to how they're yelling and chanting, that they've fixated on that. And you can imagine it could be that for a lot of them, they might think they could be a very good leader, might throw their hat in the ring, but they're also considering, I'm not sure I've bought into this idea that guy's safe. That if somebody, the Baron of Worland or the Baron of Worland comes after somebody, they're coming after whoever we decide is the leader first.
Yeah.
So that sounds like a very dangerous
Everybody
position
wants to be the leader. Nobody wants to be the first leader.
Yeah, or the one responsible. So he's
Arch,
there.
It seems the village has spoken. Your area has spoken. Do you agree? Do you take this on?
Yeah. Did we want to have like a proper vote, or I think everyone's screaming this guy's name since we're already at a selection of kind of
I
one
don't
per
have
household
the
just
ink
about.
to like dip people's fingers.
He turns toward you, Jacob, when you say that, and he says, "I agree. If we're going to have government, we should have a vote and not just a throng chanting that way." So how do we initiate that?
The easiest thing that pops into my head immediately is just like kind of draw a line and have like people standing on the side they want to vote with, because you can just see massive numbers that way versus having to do anything with ink or paper.
Love it. Yeah, we couldn't do ink and paper anyway. They probably don't
That would
have
take
it.
all of my map splice.
Exactly. All of your map
My map
splice.
splice.
Right. I like that idea.
We could establish a first past the post system in that we set up a post and whoever's passed it first is in charge.
Or, I mean, we could also just do, all in favor, aye, all opposed, nay.
Or you could even have people separate, slightly, so you're in your family or homestead groups,
There you go.
and one person in that just signals
Yeah,
with
raises
their
their
hand
hand.
or
Perfect.
something.
Let's do
Yeah.
that.
let's go
So
that one.
who was the louder? You were the louder voice so far. Like get them like Boris.
Yeah,
would
sure.
you get them separated?
Divide by homestead so that one vote per can be counted. And I'll start, I'll instruct them that when they hear the name they want to vote for, raise your hand. And then list through however many names. If it's just Arch, then it's just Arch. I'd bet there's, 2 or 3.
It probably takes a good 15, 20 minutes for it to organize this way before they do just that. And then as you call for it, you're just like going around the circle of all these groups of people, and all for Arch, Deerskinner, and hands go up all over the place, and you're counting through it and counting through it.
Please, one hand per household. This is already difficult enough.
Yeah, right.
And as you get through that, it looks like it's absolutely unanimous. But you realize that off to one side, in this circle, where's the side, that there is one individual who seems to be a household unto herself, is just sitting there like waiting for another, someone to tally any other name. Like, who's the write-in on this one?
All right, Mickey Mouse.
Harambe.
hand goes right up in the air.
Right, like that. So when it's all, when you've tallied, and you would have something like 63, let's say, different households that have all voted, and they're all voting for Arch Deerskinner. There's this one person, if you were to say, any other votes?
Yeah.
One hand goes up.
Who are you voting for?
Myself, she says. I vote for Krull Hawkseer.
Noted.
And looks around waiting for anybody else.
Yeah, right.
All in favor of Krull Hawkseer.
And people, a good person, good fighter, good warrior. No, Arch. Start getting Arch.
Them's the breaks.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
so
welcome to politics.
Arch is definitely voted in.
Yeah.
And once he comes back to it again, he looks over in the direction of Krull and says, thank you for putting your own self forward to run for this office too. And perhaps you could be the next one, or a future leader, or an advisor. I don't know what it takes to set up a government. But then he turns to the group at large and he says, the first thing that I can tell we need to do is to have a name for ourselves. And all sorts of things go up, all kinds of ideas. People are running up to him, suggesting things. And after some time again, he calms everybody back down again. And he says, as my first action, as your new mayor, as the first mayor, I nominate the name for this region of Weldon. Weldon meaning the place established in the old language. And let's vote on this. By household, all in favor. And it's just all over the place. Hands just totally go up.
Gotcha. Does Krull's hand go up for the name Weldon?
Yeah, Krull's okay with that too. She's fine with that being named that way.
Good.
And so with that seems pretty set.
That's the best case. That town hall was very, very smooth. That
Yeah,
was
honestly.
lovely.
Nobody got beat up. Yeah.
no
So-
fights, no blood.
Now, do we want to suggest to him that he kind of create a leadership board, that he has maybe one of each of our initiates?
There you
Yeah.
go. Like your cabinet is just like the head of each of the different areas.
Mm-hmm.
If Cert is really going to be my right hand man, the one that's most trained in the areas that I'm there, the most expert ranger that I'm able to create, he'd
Then
be.
Sarkham as the militia head.
And what was yours?
Corrin.
Corrin. Yep.
So once you guys communicate that to him too, he announces that to the people that his cabinet, his advisory board will be Sarkham and Cert, though Cert's not present currently, and Corrin. And everyone seems agreeable to this. It's probably been about an hour and a half. This has been going on, something like that. And then he turns again to you, Boris. What does this mean then that now I'm leader, that we are a unified people, though we originate, the descendants of different tribes of orcs and different human peoples. What does it mean to Worland?
You now act as the representative of these people to Worland, that whenever he needs to make a trade arrangement, or if territory, farmland needs to be adjudicated between two homesteads, you are the person that does that. You lead these people, make decisions for them. I would encourage still a vote so that no dissenters and divisions form. But ultimately, it is your call to make.
Then we need to send some sort of message to the Baron of Worland.
Indeed.
And so as those details are working out, any notions, Zelen, about would you need to send any of this to Worland via Bluebird or the Druids, or are you good with that right now?
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. I think that we need to give an update to Worland. They know we're here, but that's all they really know. So I'd like to update that I might have sent a Bluebird already to tell them I've established a circle here.
Yeah, I don't know if you mentioned the circle. I know you definitely mentioned the
That we were here.
that we found the half orcs here, but
Yeah.
That there is a here to be at.
Right, exactly. So yeah.
Because it's been a couple days, so we can update them on the town hall we just had,
Yeah.
and then you can talk
That
about
they've got leadership established.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the name of the leader, what they've called themselves.
That's what we called it. Mhm.
Okay, yeah. And I guess any other detail you found about the area, because you know what...
So can I send two Bluebirds? Because really, I'd like to send one to Worland and one to the Druid Circle.
Well, I think they would both go to the Druids anyway, because all messages are going to go through them.
They've all got to go through the Druids.
that's
The
true.
Druids relate
That's
the
true.
message to
That's
Worland
true.
after that.
I just don't want to overburden these poor little bird brains. I mean...
I remember last time it flew away much heavier than
Exactly.
What's the average airspeed of a laden? So yes, you can do that, and you send that off with all the pertinent information, because he'd be interested, one, that there's also a militia being formed to, contain, control, defend the area, as well as whatever natural resources there are.
Yeah, and we'll have to update as we find.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, that sounds great.
Next step from here is we send out those messages and we start fortifying, start continuing with training and...
Yeah, training and the Boris's plan. Well, let's go into that just real quick, so it also is a reminder for listeners. Zelen, what is it you're working on during the course of this, probably a few weeks you intend to stay here?
So we are still training. I have established who has talent just druidically, and who also has the talent to cast spells. So I'm training kind of two different ways.
Yeah, so with the Druids, you're training up with, I think you chose a particular spell set for them.
Yes, yeah. Particularly the Laston's Light is the biggest one to train them on, so that they can give all the fighters advantage in any fight that they have.
So in this time, as you're doing that, the ones that did not have that seemed inclination toward druidic casting, they'd probably be sorcerers, that they're drawing up themselves, but they're untrained. And as much as they're trying to follow along, they're just working on finding their own path. But it's not, if you were going to grade them on how good or successful a druid they are, they would fail. But you do note they are doing their own kind of casting. They're getting a discipline from what you're doing, but not any of the instruction itself. So it does seem like there's two different classes of spellcasters rising up right now, both druids and sorcerers at this point. Jacob, what about you? What are you working on?
Wait a minute. One other thing that I'm doing is I'm looking I'm looking for stones in the area, because I recognized that amethyst that we gave to the bugbears really kind of acted almost as currency. So there might be other stones. So if I could find some quartz or some anything else that I might be able to find in this area that could be valuable either in terms of trading or valuable metaphysically.
That's another point too. I have 8 more shards of those. If we wanted to use that as kind of a way we could gift those to the cabinet and the mayor to kind of be their distinguishing thing. They have that as a
their chains of office.
Yeah.
So I got plenty of those. We can hand those out.
You guys decide that. That's cool.
9 as well. Though I do think it'd be better if something from within their culture manifested as a chain of office rather than we introduce something.
That's a good idea.
That
maybe a bear claw or something like that.
Braiding leather, it really truly could be anything, but I'd rather they're more the initiating factor with that than us.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What I plan on doing with my time is setting up more with archers. We found all those trees in the setup weeks, as well as that deposit of flint. So having them crafting bows, crafting arrows, but also working on using those bows. So getting like building kind of target dummies out of hay or straw grass, and stretching a hide over those just to give them something to shoot at.
Yeah, sure. You could bind that pretty tight, like natural grasses, and put a drum head over it, so to speak. Yeah, sure.
And then also spending time seeing what I can do in the way of preparing saddles, hoping that when Cert does return, that we have the materials that we could start making some rudimentary saddles, and based on those little bit of schematics that I was able to draw from the complex in the mountain.
Okay, so somewhere adjacent to where Boris and his workers have been putting up this bridge, you're establishing a spot that you're working, just have an area, and you're kind of adding to it as you go.
What's the name of the shop where leather happens?
Where you're
like
working
Smithy
at,
is like the
tannery?
Tannery,
probably.
So setting up a tannery.
You're working up a place to work out the structure for this and how to stretch leather, etc., and straps and whatnot. It'd be very crude and rudimentary. But
I'd start making noises about shields, just because that's really useful for militia.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure. You could definitely do that with heavy leather. A bear hide. Yeah. But and then
we do.
Or that lizard
We
skin.
also have the lizard
skin.
skin.
Yeah, the lizard skin.
Lizard skin. Yeah, so you have a lot of material to use. That you can make
a lot
some
of good
very
shield
different,
options.
things with. Then Boris, what are you working on?
Bridge initially, getting that finished so we can move from the Mott to Bailey and back and forth. Then once that's completed or near enough completed, I think starting to define the kind of areas for palisades where walls will be, but just kind of as an initial thought, so we know kind of the space we're working with. But more importantly, is setting up an actual smithy. That even if there's nothing in the area, we'll be getting metals from somewhere eventually, and I'd rather get them to metalworking as quickly as possible, rather than just kind of keeping them at a Stone Age level of technology.
Okay, yeah, great. That makes a lot of sense. So again, in proximity to where the bridge is, obviously that bridge is where you'd be joining the Mott and Bailey's two different parts to it. So somewhere on the lower area, the near side, the pavilion side of the creek. So yeah, definitely setting all those things up, and that makes a lot of good sense there too. I was going to say something else about the what you were setting up with right before that.
Palisades.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, kind of defining the area rather than actually constructing the walls currently.
It would make sense then that Arch probably puts together a team and sends people out to look for trees of a certain height. Probably like poplar would make the most
sense.
sense.
Timbers and
maybe pine. Yeah,
and some amount of stone to
start. And even though you yourself are working more on, I want to set up a smithy, he puts teams of workers in to start making what would be a trench, and where you would put the tree trunks into. To tip them upright to make a palisade.
Good, nice, yeah.
Yeah, so that's in the working too.
Yeah, so as much construction and actual making of the structure, I'm happy to advise, but the more he takes over, the happier I'll be, because that lets, one, the kind of shaping of the settlement come from their leader rather than an outside force, and it gives me more time to work on training the militia, introducing shields once we have them, armor if I can maneuver that, and then just weapon craft generally.
Okay, great. So that all that's happening along with the druid training, the archery training, and bow making, and the militia.
Probably making
training.
weapons once you start bringing back larger pieces of that flint.
Yeah.
All right. So in about a week since the town hall, you've been going through all these different things you're doing. Let me back up a step. After 3 days. Cert comes back, Jacob. And he finds wherever you're working at that point and reports to you. He's like, Jacob, I did find a clutch of eggs. And he starts describing this hill, that ridge. Remember, 4 days ago when we were hiking this place, that place. Mm-hmm. It's in that direction, but much further up that creek. And when somebody else says, where was it? This place is no. It was the Green Creek. And then they're like, okay, that way. And so there is a large clutch of eggs. And I didn't go further up, but it looks like there might be multiple clutches of eggs further up into that this little creek valley, this little marshy area.
Well, yay for the eggs, but queuing in on Green Creek, I want to ask him: is that a name? What you guys call that, Green Creek, or does the water actually run green?
We started calling it that. Everyone knows that no one lives right in that area because the water isn't drinkable. So it's just like a dead creek. There's not much growing in that creek itself. It's not that it's green because it has a lot of algae or moss or something in it. There's green on the stones in the water. So even on a clear day, It always has a kind of a green look to it.
Well,
itself.
David has an idea what that means, but I guess I should make a roll to see whether or not Jacob can kind of put 2 and 2 together with that
so
information.
Your nature, yeah.
16.
You would know that that's a possibility for copper deposit.
Figured. All right, now take the 2 of them to go and find Boris.
Any tin while we're at it? If I could jump them directly from sticks to bronze, I'd be a happy guy.
So, yeah, I arrive with Cert and who was the other one we were with?
Yuz.
Cert and Yuz, and go to Boris. Boris, great news. Eggs, yes. Beasts of labor
I could eat.
in the future. Yeah. But also,
That's what I thought.
but also, and I give the floor to them. It's like, tell them what you found.
And they communicate the whole thing.
Marvelous. Let's start setting up tools, seeing if we can pan for that in the river, find a larger deposit and start mining it. That is a tremendous wealth. This settlement just became even more valuable to the Baron.
And somebody else says, I'll send word to Arch. And people go off in different directions. So what do you do as far as the eggs go?
I want to put a small outfit together and go on a little adventure that way. Do you want to
lizard hunting?
Yeah,
I'll come along.
I take some people with me because if we're going for the eggs, they might still be able to get an idea looking at the copper deposit itself. So we have 2 different missions in mind, but same area.
Okay. Zelen, any of your people involved in this, or are you involving yourself?
Yeah,
in it?
if we're invited.
So, yeah, you were looking. you wanted to find some sort of a valuable resource here that they could attach themselves onto. That seems like a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think the 3 of us should definitely go in case there is lizards.
True.
And as you are, it's going to be a good day away. So you're getting gear together, you're packing stuff up and all that. And then you leave, I guess, probably set whoever is in charge of the local things going on, construction or the making, whatever, you check in with those people. So everything's still running smoothly.
Yeah, they've got, a week of further instruction.
Yeah, so they're feeling a lot better with it. There's plenty of mistakes, but a lot of learning going on, and you head off in that direction. So let me just give a random encounter for the time you're traveling out.
Yeah.
Gotta know if there's
Getting
things
some XP that we
biting on
don't
you.
use.
No,
Yeah.
apart from scaring up game that runs off, you guys are like on your mission. You don't see anything that would have been like the
Checkers or
Griggs
dominoes.
or nice.
No more bears.
So you guys travel out from like the central area of Weldon, and you're heading up. They're following creeks. That's just their way to note where they are from one place to the next. And so for the next day, really the whole day, you're following various creeks, splitting off here and there. Jacob, you're getting to know them. You recognize more and more of them as you're going out. For the other 2 of you, and a couple people at the party that are coming with you, it's new to them. That they really don't know their own region apart from the spot that's theirs and maybe how to get to somebody else's farmstead. And then camping overnight, there is no encounter. I didn't roll for any kind of a dangerous encounter. The next morning, he starts you up again, and you head off further up, and you travel for another 3 hours, and then you get to a particular creek valley. And as you're approaching that, you can see that there is evidence of like green in stones, and you're looking at that. But during that same time, Zelen, you notice that there are a lot of red rock deposits that are in this creek, as though it's been cut through so either this red deposit's been cut through or it's been broken up by the water itself.
I'm going to go and take a closer look at that and see if I can recognize the stone.
Roll your nature.
12.
You recognize it as being river jasper.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to take it. Ark's not with us, is he?
No,
Okay.
he's back organizing.
So I'm going to take it to Boris and Jacob, just take a handful of it, a number of pieces, and say, this stone is river jasper, and the properties of the stone are that it's very protective, it's stabilizing, it instills courage and intelligence. These are just natural properties in this stone. These could be great stones for them to use as talismans.
There you go.
Yeah, let's bring some pieces back. And
Is it
make a
valuable?
suggestion.
Well, it could be. I mean, it's not going to be as valuable as the amethyst, but yes,
Gotcha.
it could certainly have value.
Right, so you can easily gather some pieces and
We'll load up some of our guys, but let's put a few rocks in their bags.
whatever you'd want there too. Go ahead and roll a. I wanted to do a luck on a different roll, and I forget what I found they came up with. If it's probably let's do an investigate. No, probably a perception. as you're walking through the creek or alongside the creek now to see what you
18.
can find. Great. So you're able to find 6 pieces that would fit like in the palm of your hand, like a river stone, semi-polished. They're not exactly polished stones,
Right.
but semi-polished that would serve us really, really well for the thing you're talking about.
Great.
Nice.
All right, so traveling further up, you're seeing more and more of this green in the stone itself, and plant life's growing about the way that it would. It does look like maybe there's less stuff growing in the creek itself, but Zelen and Jacob, go ahead and roll your nature, your survival, and let me know what you get out of that.
21.
19.
There you go. Went the other way. How about that?
Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interested.
Yep.
This is a pretty river.
Yep. Mm-hmm. This is nature.
That it does look like this is copper deposits that are
Nice.
in the stone around here.
That's good.
And there's a greater concentration as you're going further in this direction that he's leading you into. You get into like a kind of a headwater of this creek, and it's more of a marshy area. You know, it spreads out, it's flatter. It's not truly a marsh, but you could imagine if there was a flood, the water would need to come up more than just like 6 or 8 inches, and it's going to flood out some of this area. And he leads you right up to one of these catches of eggs.
Oh, nice.
okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So cool. I will search the area or get a sense of tracks. See if there's
ahead and
another
roll it. Yeah,
larger
survival.
lizard nearby. Survival. I'm in my favorite terrain, right? We're in the
Yes.
it's 18.
There are definitely tracks all around this area. Nothing gets too close because I would imagine the lizards themselves are worried about crushing their own eggs. But you would say, yeah, like this morning, like within an hour, there was a fairly substantially sized lizard that was moving around this area.
Everyone stay alert. There's definitely another large lizard in the area, at least this morning. What time is it? What time is it right now?
It'd be about like 9, 10 o'clock.
Okay, so a couple hours ago, a few hours ago.
I have a high skill on animal handling. Will that help with us knowing if these eggs are still viable and if
Yeah, it's reasonable. Go ahead and roll it. Yeah.
that is gosh, I'm having trouble with math today. Yeah, exactly. It's a 22 unnatural.
Yeah, absolutely. You're
Lovely.
that always. Yes, you do believe that this is a living clutch of eggs. That these aren't just old and abandoned. You know, they're dead or something like that. No, they're alive.
Okay.
Okay.
And you could probably also tell too, like just sticking your finger in the ground near it. What's the temperature where they seem to be properly gestating?
Right.
Get a good idea of this area, because if we're going to take these eggs back, we want to be able to have an area where when they do hatch, we can imprint on them immediately. So kind of take notes, get an idea of this kind of environment that they're in.
Yeah, so
to
we
try
can
and
rebuild a nest.
recreate it.
Now, we've communicated with the town what our goal is, right? That our goal is to hatch these lizards,
If not the
train
whole town,
them.
at least those in charge.
The
Yeah, a
leadership.
couple of
Okay.
people. Yeah, you
Okay.
have.
All right. Okay.
So
good.
is the plan right now then, Jacob, to leave the eggs here and let them go for another week or two, whatever you think that it's going to be until they're ready to hatch out, or are you taking some of them back with you?
If it does it seem like they are going to take a couple weeks in order to hatch, or if we take them back now, then we'd have them we could have them hatching in a couple days back at the.
Make another roll, both of you,
What are we wanting?
or
Nature?
advantage one to the other.
Oh, natural 20.
Oh yeah,
All right.
I'll take that. Whatever skill you want it to be.
You'd say they're close.
Oh,
like
close.
within the next few days, you think these things are about ready. That you're getting the movement, the quality of the leathery epidermis of these eggs is changing. So you do think they are getting closer to them hatching out.
Gotcha. I'd say taking them back with us.
I
is
agree. We need to be the first thing that their
Yeah.
trainers need to be the first things they see.
As long as we can keep them warm and viable, yeah.
Right.
So how many are there?
There are 23.
Oh,
Holy Moses.
wow. I was thinking like 7 would be a good number. 23.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let's think about that. How many can we reasonably train?
How many people did we bring with us on this
How many can
envoy?
we carry?
Right.
As far as I know, that you each brought your principal person with you, and you
Yeah.
also have Yuz.
Okay, so
There's 7 of you right now.
gotcha. So I mean, how big are the eggs? I guess is the next question.
They would be like between chicken egg and ostrich size, so kind of halfway between.
Okay, so a little bigger than a softball, maybe.
A little smaller than
Fist.
a softball.
A little smaller than a softball.
Fist is good, yeah.
Okay,
a
so-
small calf's heart.
That's like three eggs per person.
So here's what
Dear
I'm.
listener,
Here's
that
what
is
I'm.
a long-running in-joke that
How many calf
one of our
hearts?
number used to work on a dairy farm and has a context for the size of a calf heart. The rest of us, being human, do not.
So one of the things to think about is the training of these, because I think we need a 1-to-1 training until we understand how they learn.
Do
and
we have 23 people we want to give?
that's exactly right. I think we know we have 60 homesteads. So
63.
63
Probably not.
homestead.
So
Yeah.
what's the distribution we want to? Because we want to have some that are dedicated for working in the fields. We want to have some maybe that are dedicated for working with a militia.
I think first we go with your kind of more rangery people, the ones
Yeah.
that are inclined to work with animals, to see if it's viable. Because it might be they hatch and are utterly belligerent and we can't train them whatsoever.
Yeah, so let's-
and
The
they're
druids
appetizers.
too
You
have
wanna go
would
with,
have
like-
animal skills.
Or
Yeah.
like 14, like we just grabbed 2. The 7 of us that are here, we each grabbed 2. We just bring 14 of them back.
Again,
I
it's a
think
matter of
that's
keeping
plenty.
them warm as
Yeah,
well.
so it's also a matter if some of them fail. If we get back, we have 14, but maybe only 8 of them
10,
survive the trip
yeah.
back or something like that.
Yeah, well, I think that there's, I had said about 8 people were kind of doing ranger training with you.
Mm-hmm.
And it was about the same number of spellcasters, but really I think just 3 of them, I think actually, were expressing a druid sense. So probably just 3, really, that would make sense. And then Boris, again, you had about 8, 12 people, let's just call it 10, that were training with you as your initial militia group.
Yeah, but that's my point. I don't want them in the militia yet until we're sure that they can actually be trained.
Right, that they're not
Yeah.
just dangerous.
Right. That the people who understand how animals think and have a better aptitude for training them should attempt it first.
I agree. I think we each take 2,
Yeah, so I'll stick
assuming
with my
not
number
all
14.
of them are going to hatch.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
All right, that sounds good. So
We do our best to care for the 14 that we do grab. Do we want to leave these other ones here to kind of like keep the ecosystem, or do we want to kill the
no,
younglings?
I think we get rid of them.
Okay.
I
What
know
do
that's
you
not very
think, Paladin?
druid of me.
I was thinking leaving them because we are, whether they're trained or not, we're reducing the population by a good 2/3, at least for this one locale. There may be other clutch locations.
Mm-hmm.
Their supply of meat and leather, we need them.
Yeah.
Yeah, if nothing else, if we can breed them to docility, if we can capture and maintain them, if not as work animals, as livestock, then they're going to become fairly important in the area.
Cool.
So I say leave them.
So the I don't know what's like. I don't know if it was a myth or something like that, but like touching like birds' eggs, they would say like the mother bird wouldn't return
Wouldn't
back.
come
to the-
back?
That is a
and
myth.
I know that's a myth. It was like I don't know if like a similar thing or if it actually legitimately exists for lizards or anything. Like if our scent is in this area, if the lizard would sense that
I
danger. and
honestly
not come
don't
back
know.
for its
I've
eggs.
never looked into that one. Are you like pee on this clutch of eggs or something? to save them?
The opposite.
You're gonna lick every one of them.
Trying to get just the 14, so that way we can ensure the best rate of survival for the remaining 9, and just so they can potentially hatch and grow into eggs that we could hunt
All
down.
right, let's
in
just
the
do that
coming
as a nature check or animal handling. Either one of the animal things.
Hope you did better.
I did 22.
Yeah, okay, 14. Yeah.
We'll go with that.
I didn't even know what you rolled. I'm just like, I did.
We'll call it like this: that you've done all you can to maintain that population just that way.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
And
Head back to the creek, and did you bring any sort of what are they called, panning material, or just anything like that we can get an idea for the
Quality of the
Core.
copper.
copper deposit? There we go.
Yeah. I think that'd be reasonable that I'd have. Well, do they have anything like that?
they would just be using people pan for gold because they had a pan.
Yeah,
and
fair.
that's that. And you don't really pan for copper the same way. You're looking for an ore; it's not going to flick off the same way.
I guess
Yeah.
maybe grab one
But
of those rudimentary.
It's actually indicative of that it's probably further upstream.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
if if there's a copper deposit
there's a
that's
tarnish,
viable,
yeah.
it's going to be somewhere in like a
Well,
slightly
that's
higher
good. Let's
hill.
not have people mining right beside the lizard nest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be kind of awkward.
Right.
So,
So the question is, do you go further to try to find where this copper's coming from? Or do
Not
you go
with the
back
eggs,
down?
no.
I was
Okay,
saying,
so you're heading back down.
do we want to just go back to the thing here and maybe just see if we can find one piece of ore or something in the area and just kind of like break off a piece of it to get an idea of? We can make an estimation.
Yeah,
of
why
what we want
not?
to
Just
get
roll
back.
your nature skill.
Yeah, whatever forkward rejoining.
Hey, 22,
Yeah, so you can definitely get a piece of this ore to bring back and show to them what it looks
Awesome.
like.
and I do that.
And they know the direction. Okay, so let me just roll if there's any encounters coming down.
We all make sure we all take the best care of our eggs that we can.
Yeah,
That's right.
and
So as
nature
you guys-
folk
Potato and
tell us
home ec
how.
class.
Just gone about 200 feet away from where this clutch is that you just, robbed a whole bunch of the eggs from, that while you're doing that, part of the hill seems to slide and move. It's one of the
that's not
larger
good.
lizards. It doesn't follow you. It goes down to that clutch of eggs, and it's circling it. It's looking at it. You can imagine it's have the intelligence to count to make sure they're there. There's eggs there. It smells like eggs there. And so it seems to be staying in this protective pattern, goes back up to its perch, and once it holds still, it blends in fairly well with the land. So it was definitely in a position where it probably could have done a move and a strike to you guys.
The whole time we were there.
Probably the whole time you're standing there, yeah.
Yikes. Thanks, Ranger.
I had a pretty good roll with my perception.
But the guard of that clutch is still there, and you guys head, or do you engage it? Do you move toward it to do something?
Not
No,
with,
not with the
not with
eggs.
the
We
eggs.
got to get the eggs. Yeah.
Okay.
It'd be great to
so-
have that leather, but we want these eggs to hatch. We want these eggs that we have with us to be safe.
We have a long-term resource to hand.
That's right.
A war to plan, my wife to frame, I'm swamped. So you leave that area, you head back down the stream. It's a lot faster going back down. You know the area better, and it's easier to get back from.
And it's downhill.
But it's, and that must be the case, must be downhill, that instead of having to spend the night, you actually, as you're walking a good bit faster, probably because you're thinking about these eggs, getting them to a place where they can be a little more stable,
Planning
that
for college already.
you realize that if you walk into like dusk, past dusk, into, past sunset, that you could make it back to the pavilion camp tonight.
Awesome.
And so
Let's do it.
you're pushing it, and you get back, and you setting up nest areas for that.
Yeah.
All right. So a couple of days after that, everyone's working. Close eyes on the eggs are monitored. They're being watched very closely. Somebody points. They're pointing skyward, and then more and more pointing. They're looking at it, and a few very large birds are wheeling around and coming down to your position, and they are enormous. You're thinking this thing might have a wingspan of like 10 or 12 feet. It is
Wingspan like owls?
huge.
Because I was waiting for
you
that statement to
imitate
end with
vowels?
you recognize them or roll a nits, and I didn't know what was going to happen next.
You recognize them, rolling
okay.
nits, yeah.
Oh wait.
So coming down, people are moving and panicking. People are knocking arrows and bending bow.
Hold. Stop.
And it takes a number of yells like that. Go ahead and roll whatever intimidate or persuasion is your best one to get people to back down.
At advantage because I've trained most of these people.
I'm reasonable with that.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, that'll work.
I'd give-
24.
all of you have advantage because as you start yelling that without even questioning as to why you are, Arch himself is hold, stop, don't lose. And that would be a benefit there too.
Awesome. Yeah.
So what rolls do you guys have?
17.
11.
24.
All right, so with those rolls, everyone yelling, they do like relax their bows. People are still holding their weapons
Yeah,
in
probably
hand,
not take
but
the
they're
arrow
not
off.
pointing the things skyward, but they're still knocked and ready. And circling lower and lower, they are giant owls. And as a clearing is made, as people back off where they're obviously coming down to, they swoop in, come in for a landing on the ground just adjacent to you. And Boris, somehow they look bigger than what they were when you're up
You're
on the
right.
cliff. It's just kind of startling when they're in proximity to other people that way. And they all look identical to you, but speaking in Celestial. So no one else there is picking up on the
Right.
language.
Yeah.
One of them says, Boris, it is I, Rashwan.
Hail, Prince of the Donalar.
Hail, I saw happenings here in this valley, great movements, and I thought, perhaps we have a safer place to hunt now and other things to eat. We saw there were people that were making cabins, but they were disorganized. More is happening, and I came to investigate myself.
We have rallied these people, these half-orcs, into a settlement on behalf of the Baron of Worland. We have named it Weldon.
And this is all to form a war party, an army, and to head back over the Notched Gap and destroy the bugbears?
That can certainly be part of it. First, we wanted to grow and nourish this community here so that good had a strong foothold.
I accept your offer that one day these people will battle the bugbears for us. And I am pleased to know that these people are
I mean,
organized.
statistically, yeah, they're going to come into conflict
They will.
with
They will
Right.
another large,
eventually.
another
Yeah,
large
right.
settlement that has very different ethics. Yeah, it's inevitable. I'm just not promising I'm leading.
While Boris is having his whole conversation with Rashwan, I want to go around actually putting hands on bows and having all of my people like point them at the ground, like
Yeah.
like arrows getting out here. Like stop doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I'm
You're
gonna
embarrassing me in
safety.
front of the giant owl.
I'm gonna try to try to quietly move to Boris just in case he wants to see him like walk up a tree like he did before, so I can
Do that thing again.
Yeah, right.
Do that
So-
thing again. No, he doesn't ask him to do anything like that. But there are people, as you're talking to them, and the leaders aren't afraid. People are gathering a little bit closer because they've never seen anything like this.
Right,
It'd
yeah.
be just so completely different.
Owls the size of horses. Yeah.
And he says it would be good, and he's talking more to Arch at this point. So I guess I'll have a conversation with myself. It would be good then for
Yeah,
our
and then I'm
peoples to
translating.
stay, in touch. Once he's pointed out as the leader, and Arch would reply that it would be beneficial to have allies not too far away that have such capability of flight and intelligence.
Yeah, I'd
Sounded like a
suggest.
mixture of the term allies and owl, like owl eyes, is what I heard. And I don't know if that was
Yeah, you're right.
Unintended puns are the best puns.
nice.
I'd suggest, kind of in capacity as translating, first to one, then to the other, scouting the Green Creek, that they could see where that deposit is, if there's any other nests along that line, and gain more information. Honestly, more effectively than we could.
Oh, we certainly could. Honestly, I love finding the lizard clutches. Once they hatch out, it's good sport to chase them. And a small one, is just a tidbit, but 3 or 4 together is a nice meal.
We're working to establish them as work animals here, though. And I'd show Rashwan kind of the clutch we've got in captivity, that we'd want them to be beasts of burden, mounts, hunting dogs.
And probably the plans or the rudimentary frame you're building and working on for the saddle too.
Yeah.
So impressed and curious that he would have never imagined such a thing. Well, I apologize. We've often deprived you of a number of your potential farm animals. We eat them when they're young.
We've only just begun it.
And he says, "Well, we shall take off from here, and we'll send an owl as emissary." And he looks, at Archer, at Arch rather, talking through you, Boris, and says, "In 1 moon phase."
All right, and I'd communicate that, and honestly, probably start teaching people once they depart the rudiments of Celestial, so they could
A
communicate.
couple of words, yeah.
Right, yeah. Well, as much as I can, I'd probably stay until at least somebody's reasonably proficient.
Have we asked the giant owl if it can speak common?
Uh,
Yeah.
And so he starts saying things like, "Yes, when I, scratch your scalp down to the bone, that means I disagree." And wow, that's a brutal language you guys have right there.
and this is the good guy language.
This is the good guy language. And then, after that visit's over, they take off and are heading back up toward their Aries. But even as they're getting ready to go, he says, "So we'll talk to you in 1 moon about the Green Creek, and if they're given directions on how to get to it."
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, and then they flap and they go their thing.
Right on.
Training continues. Let's see.
Well, it was fun.
Yeah, and I start teaching a language class now, too.
It's like
Wearing a lot of hats around
make
here.
a college right now.
Need a
in this
lot
place.
more.
I'm all for
guess I also-
Arngol 2.0.
I guess I also need to set up a lot more stuff about making paper and making some pencils, because if we're going to start classes, we need to be able to have tests.
Yeah, right. Probably ink pens would be the best. We've got the feathers now.
All right, so 2 weeks after the town hall, the bridge is done. Oh, I skipped right by it again. A day after the Donalar emissary,
Where are my lizards?
the lizards start hatching out.
Yes.
So they're coming out of the things, and these things would be, I don't know, like kind of rat sized. They're not huge, but they're not teeny either. And you have
The
the
length
people,
of your forearm for people with no context as a rat.
about
And
like that, from
in this time,
wrist to elbow.
in this time that we got back, we would have picked our 14 people, assigned them to an egg, and just saying like, you're going to be the one who like this is what we're trying to do with it, but you are going to be in charge of this lizard.
Congratulations, you now have a dog.
Okay. So I'm going to do a series of rolls with those individuals just to see how this comes out and how they're doing with that as it's going. And of course, there's just so much interest in what's happening. And I would imagine that the two of you have also informed them what it takes and what it means, and feeding them and anything else you would know about that. So out of this group of 14, it looks like, even on the first couple of hours of it, that 10 of them are very interested in focusing on that person who was the one that was there. Like as one was hatching, it was like, yes, right up there, right now, hold your hand out to it. That they seem to be, as far as you can tell, bonding with them. But by the end of the day, there are 4 of them that don't seem to be anyway interested, and they keep losing them. They have to they're doing more chasing to get after it, to scoop it back up again, and they're getting their fingers nipped at, and there's no sharp teeth there that they're being bitten deeply or anything. But it's not pleasant. It's not nice. But 10 of the 14 seem to be holding.
Gotcha. I don't see any reason in attempting to like keep them in captivity to let them grow any point to where they'd be more of a resource. I just see them as a nuisance at the moment.
What if I did a ritual of speak with animals and see if I could talk to them?
Ooh.
Yeah, right, we can do that.
Right, just to see if I could communicate that
Hey,
these are
this is what's going on.
that these are your parents, that this person is your boss.
Straighten up, act right. We're gonna smack you in front of your friends.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
That came from a deep place.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well,
Don't make me count to 3.
yeah. I assume they're
War
intelligent.
flashbacks.
Are they intelligent enough to be able to have a conversation? Or
Hadn't thought about it. So can you cast this on all of them, or is it just on one?
I think it's like a
Is it
you cast
ritual?
it.
It's a ritual.
It is a ritual, yeah.
I think we've had this conversation before. I think it was Dr. Doolittle style. She casts it on herself and gains the ability to just speak to animals.
You can gain the ability to comprehend and verbally communicate with beasts for the duration.
All right, yeah, so you could do just that. So as you initiate that spell and you're ready, we'll even say you have their attention, all those that are around, those that had gathered them, that are kind of holding them, and they're just trying to fight out of their hand. The other 10 are just attentively sitting in somebody's arm, hanging onto their shoulder or something. What do you say?
This person is your leader. You belong to this person and must take direction and order from this person, and they will feed and protect you.
All right, so there is no like charm or quest or geese or anything like that. So I'm just going to roll it, which tantamount to a wisdom saving throw that they might go.
May I make a suggestion?
Yeah, I'd love it.
Persuasion versus insight would make the most sense.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh,
That it's
All right.
if it's not if they're not proficient, on either side it'd be charisma versus wisdom.
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
so she's
well,
trying to convince them.
Good wisdom.
Yeah.
I had that much good. All right, so
So
do you have persuasion, Zelen?
I do have persuasion.
Good.
Oh,
Well,
then-
it's only a +2 though.
yeah, okay, but that's way better than what I got right here. All right, so I guess I'm just going to roll this in mass. I don't want to roll with
Am I
this
rolling something?
Yeah, you're gonna roll.
Yeah.
You're rolling persuasion. He's rolling his
with whatever. your-
insight. Now, is she doing it per lizard or just a one for? Or you're doing yours in mass, so it's just.
Yeah, do roll per lizard. That's fine.
Okay.
You won.
Yeah.
I just rolled a natural 1. These things have a wisdom of 10, so that is a 0 modifier.
So with your natural one.
So with your
This was my second roll. My
Oh,
first
gotcha.
roll was a 3, so with my persuasion modifier, it's a 5.
yeah, so the least you could roll is a 3,
Okay.
isn't it? It's a +2. You didn't see your modifiers?
Yeah, least you could roll.
Yeah, the least you could roll is a 3. So your smallest number for any of them is going to be a 3, and I rolled rock bottom.
Oh, okay, good. So I
Yeah.
win?
Yeah, you win.
Okay.
'Cause I
I
was
win.
going for
Triumph!
for one that.
I'm
Yeah.
winning.
So with that, you could predict that those 4 are always going to be a little more on the feisty side,
Right.
and not want to follow direction, or they're not
Attack
going to go to
lizards.
bed on time. Yeah,
Those might be our militia lizards.
and
Right.
but they do seem to catch on to that. Thanks, Boris.
Yeah, sure.
I think we might need to spend a bit more time to monitor these lizards.
Oh,
Thank you. I've been cooking that one up for a few minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice,
It's been
yeah.
stewing in your
Not
colon.
nice.
And it bubbled
You're
out your
welcome for that
mouth.
one. I can hear the groans coming in now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuel me.
So,
The scale of that joke just throws me.
oh, brother. So that's where we're going.
Oh, it's great.
And I suck at this game. 2.5 weeks after the town hall, just rolling to see what
Got another one, and I'm not going to say it.
encounters there are. Yeah, Jacob, your people are more regularly bringing in game.
Perfect.
And yeah, so that's working very, very well. And
My militia members are beating each other up better.
training's going very, very well. You think these guys they're looking pretty competent. And both when it comes to the ranged weapons, when it comes to the combat of melee weapons, and you're developing shields. You're working up the rudiments of putting together. Will probably be like a lime forge. You're making will be like kind of a concrete and stone. You're putting
Yeah.
things together. Zelen, your spell casting better. That pretty much on command when they're bringing up that we said it was Uko's light you were teaching them. That they got it. They're
Laston's like,
I'm sorry, Laston's light.
Whomever's light.
You're bringing it right up each time, so they're getting pretty good with what they're doing. It's really going very well. Someone yells from the periphery. It seems that Arch has set up what's tantamount to a skirmish line outside this area,
Good on him.
and the yell that's coming in is riders coming in. And it's coming from the direction of Arkland Barony, the northwest, where this valley eventually opens up into what would be Arkland Barony.
Gotcha.
Since I've been doing more training than anything else, I think it'd be reasonable to assume that I'm armored and geared up.
Yes, it does.
I'm going to go and greet them riders.
Okay, so you step forward. There is no road or trail. You're just in an area of open
Yeah,
space.
wherever they're coming through.
And again, you haven't heard it for so long, the sound of horses that they're riding in. Boris, go ahead and roll that as a perception roll.
Okay,
And
okay.
I'll take a position near the side of the skirmish line, standing next to the archers or whoever's there.
And Zell says, I throw a dart.
See if I
Some
can.
guy
Taking
goes,
out 6 horses and a rider.
yeah, he goes, ass over teacups over the back of a saddle. And it's like-
Trying to give Boris support to make sure that no one's gonna, in case these are good guys, which we're hoping they're good guys.
13 on that perception.
you would say it's at least a half dozen horses
Okay.
as they're riding through that. You
Yeah,
can't quite
I'm-
make them out.
Half
inside.
dozen
from wherever
riders, maybe
I have
more.
been gathering, I'm coming from the opposite side of Jacob.
Yeah,
so
they
that
have-
Boris is.
There is really a mixed group. It's people that are moving also into your direction, and your own militias and spellcasters are among them. And then a lot of people are just moving away because they just don't know what this means. And
Right,
riders-
which is
Sounds
smart.
like-
That's what
yeah,
we'd
yeah.
want.
Riders
Are
coming
they
in.
displaying any colors? Are they?
through all the trees and what you can't see them. It's like they're
Okay.
across an open field or something from a distance.
I'm
but
gonna
no.
untrained. Get back. Just the people we've trained come
Oh,
forward
oh.
with us.
Okay, I thought
And-
you were going to do something
and
untrained.
That almost makes them. It gives them permission, and those that are not, they're grabbing their stuff and they're backing up or finding cover.
Yeah,
getting
Right.
making kind of a militia display with it.
And within 5 minutes, the horses are coming up. They're riding up. They're very clear now. And as they break through the trees and come into your area, go ahead and roll in nits.
Ooh,
Nice. 17.
7.
9.
Okay. And I'm at 14. 17, Boris.
Hail the riders. Who comes?
And as you see that, the lead rider, he wheels like into your direction. Like he didn't note where you were out of this group of people. And he does that. And you can even tell just on the expression of his face, he's smiling at this point because he sees a guy in armor.
Yeah.
And it could mean, oh, you're my principal foe. Yeah, that how that goes.
Yeah, loosening but not drawing sword.
And as this rider approaches, it's slowing down. You would already think he's non-combative because no rider in an attack would slow down at that moment, unless he was going to challenge you to some kind of individual combat. And as it comes up, just at a canter, and it comes to a stop, he says, "Hail, Boris!" And you recognize him as being Tom Gillenhorn. He's one of Worland's people.
Gillenhorn, what are you doing out here?
Same thing you're doing. We got the word from the Druids that you're setting up some kind of a colony here. Worland is very interested. He wants these people to be part of his people immediately. So whatever you need to say to them to say that they are Worland Barony, We are, in a sense, planting our flag here, that they are under the protection of the Baron of Worland.
Good. Arch, this is Tom Gillenhorn, sent on behalf of the Baron of Worland.
And he says,
seeing the colloquial, the friendly nature, I'll like bring all the arch.
He gave us the symbol to lose. Hi, I'm Tom Gillenhorn, pincushion.
Hopefully not. I hope I trained them better. And then just have them take their arrows down, unknock
They
them.
all miss, and you're like, really?
Guys,
Come on, that's somehow worse.
So Arch comes up, introductions to Donald around, and he says, that again, repeating to him. He says, it's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. Looks at you as Mayor, Mayor Arch, and he goes, Deer Skinner. Mayor Deer Skinner. Right now, the Baron of Worland is opening up communication with the Baron of Archland. The easiest way. We're here by horse. I mean, what was it? How many weeks ago? A month and a half? I'm forgetting now.
something, yeah.
That you left to go on foot into the mountains. It is an easy ride from Worland.
Good.
Down the Worland Road to Archland Barony, and then heading east-southeast.
Arkland?
Arkland. I got Arch in my head from the
Yeah,
sure. East-southeast into this region of the Brimroar Hills. So we're looking at establishing a way to go back and forth between Arkland, maybe a tariff, a trade tax, or something else like that.
All the better.
Zelen and I approach at this point.
Yeah, you're all up there.
Some of them have been trained as scouts by Jacob here, and we've found...
Oh, the cartographer, yes.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Copper,
got a nickname.
copper up in the mountains here.
That we hadn't heard. Zelen's communication through the Druids had said things about farmland and trees and maybe some stone that could be of value.
It's a more recent find.
That is a game changer.
Indeed.
And again, he turns more toward Mayor Deerskinner than to the rest of you, and he said, "That is such a tremendous find. There are no copper mines in the lowland areas of Worland Barony. This being the first means a tremendous amount of wealth and influx coming from this area into the general barony of Worland." And he turns to you, Boris, and says, "Worland itself, meaning the town of Worland, is growing already. It's already becoming a larger place.
Magnificent.
So this will be very, very well met by the Baron himself."
Yeah, while he's having that conversation with Arch, I'll go to Boris and just say, would we like to bring them into the city proper? Like actually
Yes. Yeah.
dismount, have a meeting.
Yeah, so you bring him in, and you guys are having this meeting.
Show off the construction.
Right, all things happening where you're planning, where directions are. He communicates to you over this time that he's not here to set up a contingent, that from what he understood, you're training your own people.
Indeed.
The Baron of Worland believes it would be best that that your own people, Mayor Deerskinner, are the ones that are enforcing the laws, the wills of your people in this region, under the banner, under the flag of of Worland Barony. That we don't want to have his soldiers here. You are now, your militia are his soldiers. It is the militia of, what did you call this place?
Weldon.
The militia of Weldon, and thus should always be raised from Weldon and its officers and its leaders from Weldon themselves. And he said, and with that thought in mind, he takes out of a bag he was carrying over his shoulder, he pulls out a cloth banner. And you note right away that it has like keys on it and a lion's head, other details. And he says, this has already been established as the banner for this region, that this is the banner then of the people and the region of Weldon.
Cool.
And obviously, the Arch is really excited.
Yeah.
It makes it seem
Well, especially
so much
because
more
there isn't
official.
going to be, even temporarily what could be tantamount to an occupational force, that it's going to be just his people.
He said, if we could stay here for a couple of days, rest our horses, reprovision ourselves, we're heading back toward the border of Arkland to establish the location where our people are traveling from Arkland back into Worland Barony along that road. A new road is being established. Right now it's just a cut trail that takes it from the Worland Road over to this valley. It didn't exist before. And again, looking at Arch, and he is saying, we'll have a contingency of guards, and probably building some sort of a cabin or a blockhouse there. So there'll always be someone there to safeguard your people as they leave Weldon and are heading into Archland. And then, of course, Boris, you know that there's already a fortification between both Archland and Weldon in Worland.
Good.
So that goes on for like the next day. A lot of talk, a lot of communication of ideas,
Fair bit of celebration.
things that are happening, a celebration like that. And unless you have other things to tell them, they're going to be leaving in about 2 days.
I know we didn't have anything really set up because we knew that visitors and trading was going to be happening later. We probably don't have a stable set up for this kind of stuff. So some sort of rudimentary structure might be being built that afternoon after they've arrived or while they're there to get them somewhere.
Keep
to
the
put
rain
their
off the horses.
Keep the rain off of them. I want to actually spend a bit more time because looking at it now with this new scope of getting an idea for these kind of saddles is take a look at those saddles from their horses and see what ideas I can get for what they have on them, what makes them work, how best I might be able to adapt them to a lizard body with what I know about those lizards, but just kind of looking at it with that kind of...
And their size and shape and things like that. Sure. Yeah. I would think we're just talking about probably an intelligence, unless you have a skill set that would work with that.
Skills for crafting.
Investigation, I'd argue personally.
Yeah, that makes
Is
sense.
a straight intelligence roll different than your investigation
nope,
roll?
those are the exact same
so
thing.
go ahead and roll that.
Ooh, natural 17. 19.
All right.
Nice.
So good. Yeah, just make a note of that on your character sheet that that you have that and you're working on that, and that was your ability to observe and you believe recreate as you're developing these things.
What are the odds they brought me any more map making supplies from Worland?
I'd say exceedingly low.
Yeah. All right. Roll a 4 for me.
You're going low?
Yeah, I'm going low
Okay,
again.
here it comes.
It always works out so well.
96. Yeah.
Technically,
It was the opposite of 4.
So, no, nothing like that.
Okay.
Sorry.
Next time we ask the Bluebirds, maybe I'll make sure to mention it.
Yeah.
During this time that we're here, do you have a map that I could take back to the Baron?
Yeah, probably. I probably
Or
have
at least a copy of something
Yeah.
you're doing.
take the area from where we got to remembering that Shepton.
Yeah.
Remembering that area and kind of giving them like up until the what's it called? The complex that tunnel that we went through because I can't imagine I've done much past that point right now. So.
Maybe just a rudimentary sketch of where the Bugbear's Valley was.
Honestly,
the Notch Cleft, and probably mapping out the creeks.
Yeah.
That are what unify this
probably
area.
do something on a bit of hide too, if nothing
there
else.
you go. I'll keep my rough drafts, but then I'll spend some of the time while they're here to make a better version on a hide of that area up to the complex.
That's great. So you're working on that.
I'd like to ask if there's any news of salt. When we were not Morris Young necessarily, but when we were going through town, there was so much concern about salt, and I'm curious to know is that still a concern? Is that
It's been a point it's one of the reasons why it'll be easy to set up negotiations for trade and passage through Archland by so many Worland barony citizens, because we're now getting our salt from the south. It's coming up from the southern baronies and the free baronies, and some is being imported from the Confederation of Duchies. We're not getting anything from Vlakveld any longer.
that's interesting?
There's a new market though that sprung up in Gryan, and it's some of the best salt.
From Morris
Go
Young
there.
Salt.
That I don't know the name of that individual, but I don't know of any salt that's now coming down from Gryan or that region.
Oh.
Because at Gryan, you're getting pretty close to Vistari Barony, still an abandoned barony. I understand squatters. A lot of squatters are living in that region.
Oh, that's interesting.
But north of
remember that
that,
from like
into
17
Vlakveld,
episodes
out
ago.
toward
Yeah,
the
right.
sea, no, we haven't had shipments in that direction at all. So everything comes from the south, very far in the south.
Gotcha. What?
Ready to move on?
I think so.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's see. A couple of days later, they're ready. They're in good shape. And I could imagine you probably have notes in the form of reports along with your actual map you put on you redrew on a piece of hide.
Yeah.
Any kind of a written report that you would have put together,
Yeah,
whatever
probably.
material you have to write that on, probably a hide again, and you send that off to send back to the Baron of Worland. Anything for the Druids, I guess you could have already done with just
Yeah.
the Bluebirds whenever you wanted a lot better. And so they leave again. There's a new energy in this area. And also in that time, you've had people that have taken various kinds of rawhide, woven it into almost like dream catchery kind of things, and they've worked the stone, some of these pieces of jasper into it, and those have been given to those three principal individuals, Sarkum, Surt, and Corin, as well as the most principal, the nicest shaped and colorful piece to Arch himself.
And I would recommend that they send one back if this is going to be part of their symbol, they should send one back to the Baron of Worland too.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, they had a total of 6.
Okay, make a note of that. So
yeah,
nice.
You're sending one of the symbols back. Then moving forward about another week and a half. So you've been here for the better part of a month, or rather, I should say, a month since the town hall. You've been here for a total of about 6 weeks. It's been
almost 2 months.
A long time. The place is starting to feel more like home. There's more permanent buildings that have been built around this area. They recognize that if they're going to have riders coming in from Worland Barony periodically, the more lowland areas of Worland Barony, that they do need some kind of a shed and a place to put these horses up, other buildings nearby, storing lumber. It's become a little bit of a town.
Suggestions of an inn.
Right
Yeah,
here.
creating like a trading post, kind of like where people come in, where they can offload, unload, and reload stuff that they're taking back and forth. They're just creating an actual structure for that to happen.
Someplace to hold the copper so that they...
What honestly I think could be very interesting is eventually forming a branch of the Corman Road and pushing way south from here.
Yeah.
That it becomes a very major trade hub heading up north.
Yeah.
That might be another project that starts that I might spearhead, is just building another structure. It'd be part of the stables, part of the trade center where things would happen.
Yeah, that's great. And working with Arch to do just that, he had also had ideas that we do need to store this wood underground undercover. And,
start digging.
And that the more stuff is being brought in and more people need to be organized and fed and everything else, you just have to have structures that are right there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So a number of people, they haven't abandoned their homes wherever they came from, but it's like they have a secondary home, and it is becoming more town-like. And they'd go to all of you, Boris in particular, to how are we laying this out town-wise in relation to where this palisade is going to be? Is it inside or is it outside of where this fortification will be ultimately? So we'll make those decisions, and you'll probably work up some kind of a map for that, won't you, Victor? Yes. Yeah. So, like I said, more time has gone by, and once you get to that 6-week point, there's up one of the creeks, and I haven't actually named them here. I should probably get into that as we map out this region. But a little ways away, kind of a 10-minute run or jog away, word comes down that we're being attacked. That there are monsters that come out of the trees up above us. They're attacking now, and again, various militia peoples aren't even here. You have them patrolling here, moving around there, looking at various creeks. But there's obviously an attack that's happening about 10 minutes away.
I'd give a shout to any nearby, grab my own gear, and start moving.
Yeah, so 2 of your people are with you right now, Boris. The rest are off doing their own things. It's not training time.
If we happen to catch other people as we go, heading in the direction where that's going, we'll grab your stuff. Let's move.
As I'm running, grab your bow, stay on my heels, keep on.
Okay,
keep on
and you
that.
have 3 of your people are with you right now. And we'll consider you unarmored at this point too.
Yeah,
It was not during a training
And
time.
obviously, I'm going to be doing the same thing if anybody's near me, but I'm also going to give direction to the townspeople to get into the shelters and barricade themselves inside until they hear word.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. Hype is with you, but that's the only one of the druid contingents that's with you right
Glad
now.
that Zelen
just
has a
one.
hype man.
I think it's actually a hype woman. I'll double check. I put genders on these.
I'll
things
check
for
my
me.
privilege. Sorry.
No, you're right. It is a hype man.
Yeah.
And so you're running in that direction. Go ahead and roll, and it's just an idea of where we are once we get to the actual combat area.
That's
Oh, nice.
All right, let's hear.
4.
Wow.
I'm kind of strolling. I'm not.
19.
23.
So it is a jog. You're running in that direction. You get to what's more of a clearing, and on the far side of that, you can see that there is a number of these wasps. These big ones. At least a dozen of them are currently in contact with your people. Thanks for listening. Curious to see Weldon's banner? Find it on theempiresedge.com. Tell us what you think on Twitter with the hashtag Unnatural20. Support us on subscribestar.com/the-empires-edge.